All right, good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to show you some things that, well, I guess the main the main theme of this video is going to be the anatomy of a winner. You know, if you've got a coin that's running, when to sell it, you know, when to hang on, what to look for. I'm going to show you some of those things. But to begin, here's my Twitter. If any of you aren't subscribed to it or following, you know, I don't sell anything. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for clicks. But if you want to share it with your friends, be sure to like this video. And then also be sure to follow @Bike4Sale on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. So yesterday, about 16 hours ago, excuse me, 16 hours ago, Bitcoin was showing on the hourly that it looked like it was a good, you know, good to pump. And it had already gone up a little bit, but what I was looking at was this: money flow was in the green. MACD had come down and tested the zero line and then bounced off of it. And at that time, it was just a small breakout. There's a chance it could come back down. But we've seen a lot of low cap alts and, you know, maybe even some higher cap ones that have been going up a lot lately. And that's a good sign. But I would caution one thing, and that's on the higher time frames, things don't look that great for Bitcoin. These are my personal support resistance lines, and we've just been, you know, coming up there multiple times and rejecting off of it. You're seeing a lot of wicks in that area. And so I think this was maybe a couple hours ago. I wanted to remind everybody that even though the hourly looked good, you do have to look at other time frames, and we'll go into some of that here in a little bit. But you got your MACD under the zero line. The money flow is tapering down. It doesn't look good on the monthly, and these things take a while to play out because these are monthly candles. So anyway, it's always good to start at a higher time frame, just kind of get a feel for what things are looking like, and then go to a lower time frame to find your either the entry or the exit. The example I want to look at regarding the anatomy of holding on to a winner is Loom. I've been posting a lot about it lately. First time was on October 12th. That's 4 days ago. And I was just pointing out the fact that it's up 6x and it's starting to get overheated, but there still weren't any clear divergences, even on the 15-minute charts. And at that time, I was talking about, you know, if it got below this triangle, then, which would basically be below this previous resistance line, then that might be a point to take a short. I had made some other posts about what it would look like if you want to, you know, if you want to look at taking a short. Of course, this was more recent. This was 21 hours ago. Where's that at? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so I was saying, even with something like Fu Manchu, which is the free version of basically what Market Cipher is, I use the actual Market Cipher, you know, which costs money. But if you want to use Fu Manchu with divergence, I think it's Fu Manchu B with divergences, if you look it up on your trading view indicators. But that's basically what you would have wanted to see was on the 15-minute chart. You'd have to see this red dot down here and momentum coming down while price went up. Anyway, you can look all through this and, you know, see my ideas on this, but it did keep pumping. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because even when you're looking for a short, you got to let these winners run, or otherwise you're going to lose money as it goes up. So there was never really any point until maybe yesterday that it showed weakness, which is right here. And I'm going to show it on the chart here in real time. So number one, on the daily chart, a real easy way to tell if a coin is bullish or bearish is, you know, if the 12 is above the 21 and there was no candles closing below either, there's really no weakness showing on the daily yet. That's why it's really, unless you are a very long-term or position trader, it's not good to trade just off the daily chart. You have to go to much lower time frames, but it is good to start at the weekly, monthly, daily chart if you want to draw your support resistance lines, or if you just want to get a feel for what things are doing currently. Like, say, for example, we'll start from step one here. let's say this is what you saw, with just straight sideways action from Loom. You really didn't have a whole lot of reason to get in at this point. I mean, you might have gotten in back here and caught this pump that happened back in July, but it quickly came back down, and it was basically sideways action if you look at this range that it was playing in between. And then finally you got another cross up. The only way that you would have known that this was a true pump is through market structure. And so you were down here near support, which is always a good buy if you don't mind waiting on the coin to move. If you want to purchase near a support line, then your stop loss ends up, maybe 5% below the support line, and you're safe. But right here was a lot of resistance because it was once support, so that turns into resistance. So once you got a candle that closed back above this, especially right here, but I would really take this area. You got this candle that closed back above this. That was a good sign. And then you got that pump after that, because the people that were playing this around this area, they got a lot more confident when that, that candle closed back above here, because you had a lot of, even when it was moving up, you had a lot of wicks right here, and it closed above those wicks. So that was a bullish signal. But in order to catch this, with your indicators, in order to catch this, you would have to go to lower time frames. Although you also did get a cross up right here of the MACD 0 line. So anywhere in here was a real good buy, especially since you were near support. But let's just say if I was looking at this point and I saw this cross up and I said, okay, I need to go down to a lower time frame and just see what's going on. So I might go down to like a 3 hour. Let's just see where that, yeah, here it is. Here's the breakout. So there was a lot, actually it was over here, wasn't it? Yeah, it was right in here. So there was a lot of, up and down, sideways, fake out down and then take off. Increase the size of this MACD here. You actually got a cross up of the MACD way back here, but you still would have had to wait a while. I mean, that was back in September. And then you got this would have been a really good place to buy here, where there was a retest of this 0 line, and then it started curling back up. So, either one of these places would have been a good place to buy. But it takes a lot of conviction. It takes a lot of discipline to wait for these plays to happen. And you need to be watching multiple coins, because you can't just be watching one. It may take forever to actually do anything. But clearly, if you would have looked at Fu Manchu, or this is my market cipher here, the money flow was well in the positive here. So you could have even taken a trade right there on the move up. But that's not really what this is about. What I wanted to show is how to hold on to a winner. And so this is what it would look like on the daily. 1221 looks great. However, if you were playing this on a 3 hour, let's see what you would have been looking at. So from the breakout right here, you would have stayed in. Your 1221 looks great. And I just want to point out a few things here. So your MACD is above the 0 line all the way through here. You get a breakdown right there. You could have exited on this MACD breakdown on 3 hour, because also your market cipher, your money flow had started crossing into the red. So that was a real good place. Like if you had bought here, you would have made roughly, it's about 162% on spot. And that's over a period of, 12 days. Not all coins are going to do this. I mean, this was one of the better ones during that period. But you could have bought right back in when this cross up happened, or when this went from red to green, or where the 1221 crossed back above right there. And you wouldn't have had to wait too long. So this was just a fake out down, got back above the resistance. You could have stayed back in. 1221 never crossed down till pretty much here. I mean, it's still crossing down, but you can see that when this candle closed right here, it's having trouble getting back above both of the 12 and the 21, which is a sign that it's losing a lot of steam. I mean, there is a shoulder right here that's going to act as some support, but we'll just have to see. Like right now, it's bouncing off all these wicks that happened right there, which I imagine will be short-lived. and it could come back down here where there's a minor support currently. But if it breaks below that, then you're probably coming all the way back down to 13, which I suspect at the very least it's coming back down to 13 or 10. Could even come down to 7 or 8, whatever that is. But right now you're just looking at maybe a head and shoulders forming. So you got this shoulder. This could come back down to the neckline. Might get a short shoulder, a smaller shoulder here. And then it comes down here, plays around for a bit, and then eventually falls down further. I mean, right now you got your MACD coming down pretty drastically, and your money flow might be curling down. And then if you look at your 1 hour, you've clearly got a 1221 cross down. And you've also got, number one, this was your warning that it was going to happen. And this is kind of a head and shoulders as well. But this candle right here came up and perfectly resisted off of the 1221. And that right there is a perfect short, because you're near basically what is moving support. Moving resistance. You could have put a stop loss maybe right up here. I mean, it might have been hit, but you could have re-entered if it came back down. Clear break of the previous higher low right here. All three of these candles were below this one. That was another signal to take a short. These are things to think about in the future. I mean, even if you go to, let me bring up Bitcoin. Let me make sure it's showing it. Yeah. So even on Bitcoin, if we go to, this is the daily chart. If we go all the way back to that 69K, where that was the top in November 2021. And then I'm going to show you how to do the EMAs real quick. So I'm going to hit moving average exponential twice. And then I'm going to change one of them to 12 and make it yellow. And this is my default setting, so it may look different for you. But I just want to show that rejection. So you had your cross down right there. This was November 18th, 2021. Here is a perfect rejection. It came back up and tested it. And that's all you really want to look for. I mean, anytime you're using these moving averages like this, it's sort of similar to these horizontal support resistances, but it's just a moving one. So it may be going sideways, or it may be coming down, going up. If you're in a clear bearish move, then if you miss the move, just wait till it comes back up here and see all these wicks hitting the 1221 and the candles closing below it. As long as you don't get a candle close back above either of these two lines, then you're good. Even here, when it did it just for a few weeks, well, maybe 1 week, it came back down, and that was your sign, especially when it comes back up and puts a wick into it. And look how much money you could have made on a short. Even if you got out here for, just momentarily, if you stick to the rules, whatever rules you make for yourself, you could have made money here, and then just let it go sideways, do what it wants to do. But when it comes back into resistance, especially your horizontal one, just wait till it gets back below, take another short. I mean, you could have taken a long here too, obviously. But I mean, the 1221 never crossed back up until down here. And I get it. I mean, this is hindsight, but these are the things you have to learn if you want to get better at trading. And these are the things that you have to be disciplined about. And that's the hardest part, is being disciplined. All right. So getting back to Loom, see, we are bouncing from that minor support currently. But clearly we are in a downtrend, at least temporarily, on this coin. And I mean, it went up like 8x, so it's not going to go up forever. And that's not to say other coins can't go up. I mean, I'm going to show you one here that I think is ready to go. So hopefully that's understandable. I tell everybody every video, if you don't understand something about it, if you'll just put that in the comments, or if you'll put a coin you want me to cover in the comments, I'll gladly do it. And usually, if I get that comment, I'll do it like the next day or something. So, and I can even do a live stream one day if y'all want to ask about a bunch of different coins. So if that's something you want to do, if you want to see a live version of this, where we look at coins in real time. And I can even go down to a minute chart and show you how these concepts even work on a minute chart or a weekly or a monthly. They're much more reliable the higher up you go on time frame. I would suggest nobody going under an hour time frame unless you're very experienced. They will fake you out. They will take your money, especially on leverage. So just be careful with that. And currently what I'm seeing on this, just by the way, on the hourly chart, you can also use the VWAP. The VWAP came down here and now it created a higher low. So this is a bullish divergence and it is following that currently. But your MACD is crossing below here. It would have to come back up pretty significantly to get a decent move. If this was to come up and reject off these two lines, I would put in a short real quick. But of course, if you get a candle close above it, you don't want to be in that. All right, so here is one of the coins I want to show you today. Let's just talk about price action real quick, because that's the most important, and volume. Been seeing a lot of volume lately. Well, actually, that was June and July. This is on a daily chart. This is what I would consider at least the temporary range. And you've got a cross up of your 1221 right there. Based on the things we just looked at, we can look at MACD and just remember some of the things we just talked about. You have your cross up of MACD on the 0 line. It's above it currently. It had a test and it moved back up. This would be a good place to take a long, especially since you had a retrace of the breakout. And that would be the breakout of this resistance, the support area here. So this is a full retrace of it. Good buying opportunity. Put your stop loss 5% below this. And that's on daily. We'll go down to 3 hour to see what it shows. There's a little bit of green on the money flow. MACD looks like it just wants to go sideways and a little bit down for a while. So this could still go sideways a bit. Hourly, what is it showing us? MACD is below it. Money flow's tapering down. Short term, you don't want to be in this on the hourly chart anyway. If I was to go down to a 45-minute or 15-minute, 15-minute could be working its way back up, but you're clearly in the red money flow and green money flow on the 45 minutes coming down. So your MACD being below 0 line on the short term, you probably don't want to be in it. But if we go back to the 3 hour, of course, it's looking okay. Again, it just looks like sideways to me. But on daily, it looks great. So just be aware that if you enter this one, it could take a little while to get going. But of course, if you get a candle close below here, if your MACD gets below the 0 line, if you get heavy into the red money flow, then you probably want to be out of this one, at least until it gets some positive momentum again. A lot of sideways action on this one, but the thing to know about it is if you, always zoom out first and just see what's going on first. It is down, 95%? Yeah, 96% from the top. And sometimes when these come all the way down, they do take a while to get moving back up. But you're, there's clearly an area of resistance right here about 0.035. And what else am I looking at? 0.05, 0.06, I would say, is an area. So somewhere in there, it could find resistance if it gets moving back up again. There's no guarantees on any of this, by the way. Just because it looks like it's finding support here, it could easily just keep going down for a little bit longer. All right, what else do I want to show? We can look at some coins right now on my watch list. Let me just make sure. I want to see what other coins I've been. Oh yeah, KLAY was one of them. I haven't looked at KLAY in a little bit. I usually put calls on different coins at least once a day lately anyway, because things have been moving. But when things are quiet, I usually don't mess around with it. I may not post as much. So October 13th, that was 3 days ago. This one's KLAY. The price structure was starting to look good. Let me just bring this one. course, you're on a longer time frame, you're still well under. You're in red money flow, you're under the MACD line. So this was a short-term buying the support, basically hoping this was the bottom, because this could be kind of like a spring. At one time, this was the support where these wicks are coming down, or right here. And, so you get a spring, moves back up, hits support again. So, this one could take a while to play out. Actually, that's the weekly. I was looking at the wrong one. Here's the daily. So that's one of the reasons I called it 1221. Crossed up, the MACD crossed up on the 0 line. Red money flow is turning to green. Should be anyway. Yeah, here's the 12-hour green money flow, MACD above. 3-hour. 3-hour wants to move sideways a bit. Let's see what hourly looks like. Yeah, hourly got a green dot on market cipher, which isn't always a buy signal, but it is if you've got thick money flow, like right here. Usually this is a good buy signal because the money flow is thick. Here it looks like it may start moving back up, but it's also been tapering down a lot. I mean, I kind of like that, honestly. Just taking a chance on it there and putting a tight stop or something 5% below. There's a little bit of a support going on right here, a temporary support. I haven't drawn lines on this one for my horizontal supports, but you really don't have to. It's helpful to know your long-term support and resistance, though. Yeah, this is just a lot of sideways action, really. I still think this one's going to go, but it looks like it just wants to go sideways a bit. I mean, technically, this is still bullish. 1221 is still positive. MACD is above, barely green money flow. But this isn't really a bullish divergence, by the way. Price would have to be coming down like this while this goes up on momentum. So we'll just have to see. I think it probably just sideways for a bit. Let's see if there's another thing I want to show here. Yeah, so ETH BTC, this is something that I drew this on October 2nd. And it's just a very simple illustration of what I think the alt market might do. You have to compare ETH to BTC to really get an idea of whether Bitcoin is going to drive alts down or if alts are ready to go. This is just one of the ways. So I was thinking, this triangle here, this wedge that's coming down, it might keep tightening and then eventually push it down one more time. But you could just stop at this support 1 line, which I labeled S1. And, it could find some support there and then break out of this eventually and then hold here and then move up. We've got, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. We got 5 to 6 months before the halving month, which is April. And so it either comes all the way down here and then starts taking off, or it takes off before halving, which would look more like this, breaks out of this and then takes off, or it could even get real bullish and takes off and then finds support. So I don't know what it's going to do exactly, but that's the idea regardless. Okay. Let's just look at a few to wrap this up. Let's look at a few in real time. I'm going to bring some, this is one of the best ways, especially for newer traders. And any of you can do this on your own. You don't need me or anybody else. You just need to stick to the rules that you set. The people that stick to their rules and are disciplined, those are the people that make a lot of money. And you have to, it's just so much. When you think about the statistic that 95% of traders don't make money, aren't profitable, that tells you just how much you have to fight your own urges as a human being to buy when things are going up like crazy or sell when things are going down like crazy. You have to basically do the opposite most of the time, or you just be a position and a long-term holder, and that works too. But if you're going to trade on short time frames, you have to stick to these rules. And even if you do long time frames, you have to as well, or higher time frames. This is a clear bullish divergence here on HOT. You got your MACD moving up. It actually crossed above today or yesterday. Well, a few days ago, it crossed above. And that's when the 1221 started crossing up as well. So this is the HOT, USDT. Actually, this is the perpetual futures chart. I guess let me bring up the spot chart. This one's called Hollow. This looks a lot like BTS, really. And this is probably because Bitcoin is at least going up and sideways currently, which may not last, but we'll have to see. Let's look at 3 hour. 3 hour looks great. Had a really nice retest of that 1221. Remember, if you're moving up and the candles come back and hold the 1221 line without closing one below it, it's a great place to take a buy. Yeah, MACD looks great. Market Cipher looks great on money flow. This looks real good. You had a few on the hourly close below it, but as soon as you got back up here, you could have entered again. These green dots, and I wanted to make a point of this, I think the hourly chart is really one of the best charts for most people, but get some experience first. I mean, really, most people should start out with a daily chart and really understand how things can go up and down really fast on them. But an hourly chart, once you get experienced, this is great for Market Cipher or Fu Manchu. When you see thick money flow and you get a green dot like here, and you have to have green money flow, it can't be red. This is a good point to take a buy. This is another good one. I mean, the money flow, if you would have been looking at this at the time, looked like it was tapering down pretty good, but it started curling back up. So you would have had a lot of conviction to go ahead and take that. These two are good because your money flow is still thick and your MACD held the zero line. And by the way, these indicator packages like Market Cipher and this one's called Engineering Robo, really what they're doing is just making your job easier. They're using many indicators that you can get for free, like MACD or EMA cross ups or down. It's just combining those all in one package to make it where you just have one signal. But I just use it for confirmation, really. I really like the money flow of Market Cipher, and I like the, well, of course, MACD is a great one as well. This one here is a modified version of the MACD. It is called MACD Custom Indicator Multiple Time Frame Plus All by Chris Moody. Divergence for many indicators V4. I don't use that one as much anymore, but it's good too. I think that's all I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, Fu Manchu. I've talked about this before, but the only thing I don't like about Fu Manchu is and it's called Fu Manchu B. It doesn't show the money flow very good. You really have to zoom in to compare it to, something like Market Cipher. I've got my color changed. That's why mine looks different. But this is Market Cipher. This is Fu Manchu. You'd have to modify it however you wanted it, but I've removed a lot of the things off of mine because it just clutters it up. But you can see it's very similar. It's just that the money flow doesn't show very well when you have it at its normal size here. It's a small gripe. It's still a very good free indicator. So again, if you miss, now we're going up on this coin. If you missed your buy-in, just be patient. I mean, you could wait for it to come back down. So, money flow is coming down, momentum's coming down, and then it comes down and money flow is still thick and it puts in a green dot right here. You can go ahead and buy that as long as money flow is thick. And then the question is, how do you know when to get out? Well, you would just get out when 1221 crossed down, or you started getting some candles closing below it. But you have to get right back in, like this was a fake out on the hourly. If MACD gets below zero, if money flow crosses into the red, it's never good to use too many indicators, but this is a good example of what you want to look for. Some of these are going to look similar. Here's BSV On the daily chart, it's been going sideways a bunch. Let's just see what it looks like on a higher time frame. Yeah, it's starting to cross up even on the dailies. That's a good sign. I want to look at one more thing with it though. Yeah, it actually wicked down to over 96% on a loss since May 2021. And isn't that interesting that a lot of these alts, they actually topped out before Bitcoin. So some of them topped out in May of 2021 and Bitcoin topped out in November 2021. So something to keep in mind going forward. All right, so here's your cross up. Anything that closes above this right here is likely going to push it higher. But right now you're in a range. It could just go sideways for a bit. Money flow is trying to get green. MACD looks like it may keep coming down a little bit. So that would indicate sideways action on the daily chart. 3 hours above. On the MACD, it's above the zero line. Green money flow, you're above the 1221. MACD could be rolling over. It's hard to tell, but money flow seems to be getting thicker. Yeah, money flow looks good on the 15 too. This one looks fine. Just, you are at a resistance point. So be aware you'd be buying resistance, not support. That's all I would say on that one. And this one looks real similar. You'd want to wait for it to come down, and while money flow was green, come down and print a green dot. That would be a point to go in. I wouldn't go in right here personally. See right here, there's your green dot. Money flow's thick. If you want to wait for confirmation on this, that's fine. Wait for the 1221. There's your candle above. There's your 1221 cross up. Let's say you bought here. You could have made about 10% spot, or on a 10x leverage, you'd make 100%. Easy play. How would you have known to get out here at the top? You would have had to go down to a much lower time frame. So here's that top. You did get a red dot, but money flow was still thick. But if you would have seen MACD starting to cross down here, you got a red dot on the MACD, you could have taken these two as confirmation that it's going to come down some. That would have been, well, you wouldn't have been able to sell it till here, so it's not a great point. But still, even with that, you still would have made probably about 7% or 70% on a 10x. So, pretty easy play, all things considered. Here's Sol. Sol on the weekly chart. It topped out. Actually, it topped out in November 2021. So some of them have their own timing, and they time themselves. Might be the higher market caps that time themselves with Bitcoin. It's down 97%. Sideways mostly, but it looks like it wants to cross up. And on the daily, I'm sure it has. MACD above zero. Money flow might be curling up. This one might not be a bad one to get in right now, just because you'd be getting in somewhat early on the retest of a push up. But just be aware it might be going sideways a bit. Let's just see here. Money flow green. Yeah, clearly green on the hourly. Always look at your lower time frames before you enter a trade. This is a bearish divergence here. Well, sort of is. You got a buy signal there on the 15-minute. MACD is still above zero. I mean, it's fine so far. This indicates sideways or down a little bit on the MACD. So this could roll over a bit. But if you get another green dot with thick money flow, then that would be another point to buy. And Fu Manchu does have these dots as well. Just be aware of that. Oh, and then obviously, I think a lot of you are probably wondering about that ETF decision. I just wanted to point out that I actually made a post about that. I don't know where it's at exactly. I show when these trades work and when they don't, by the way. That way you can see where the errors are made and where you can just kind of learn as I go along with it. And here on, was this yes? No, this is October 13th. Many rumors going around about Bitcoin ETF being approved. Don't fall for the bait. Remember that sometimes that marks a temporary top for any crypto that may have pumped. New cycles need dumb money to enter to provide liquidity. So they're trying to get money to come in at the very top, which is exactly what happened on November 2021 with Bitcoin. Remember, Elon Musk was on Saturday Night Live. Doge was doing great. Elon even posted a thing where a guy and a girl were laying in bed there hugging each other. And on the screen, it said 69K. And everybody, including myself, thought that it was about to pump even higher to like 100K or whatever, because that's what prior history had told us. And turned out that was a double top instead. So don't let the news affect your decision making when entering a coin. Always check Bitcoin first. If Bitcoin looks like it's about to take a big dump or about to pump, then sometimes that can mean that alts will bleed for a bit. Just remember that going forward to the halving. Alts could bleed off no matter what Bitcoin does. Usually you want Bitcoin to go sideways or maybe up just a little bit. And you want Bitcoin dominance to come down versus alts. That's the two important factors for alts to go up. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show. Again, hit like if you want any of your friends to watch this, share it with them. Join me on Twitter at Byte for Sale if you want to be able to get these calls pretty much on a daily basis. And I'll always follow up on them to let you know what's going on with the play. And we'll talk about some of this stuff going forward as well. All right, y'all take care.